Alright guys, here we are. This is the backside of the Leechburg Lights mega tree, and I wanted to do a little quick how-to on how I did it. So as I tear this down today, I'm going to just shoot some videos and some pictures so that everybody can see exactly what I've got going on here. So first I'll just kind of walk out the front here, and yeah, the base isn't as perfectly round and straight as I want it to be, but you know, it worked the job. It might be a little uneven, but these strips were kind of a last minute strip, so I had to deal with what I had, and they worked. So anyway, going over here, I want you to see this blue wire right here. Not wire, but actually it's blue nylon rope, and it's connected right there to my water outlet, which doesn't work, to the house. And there's three wires here, or there's three pieces of nylon rope here that go all the way to the top. And whenever we pull the tree down, you'll see how they're just tied off at the top there where the star is. So first, as I just step right into here, you're going to see we have the controller housing, and then we have, here we go, we have the controller housing, and I'll zoom in, and this is the hand crank winch that I connected, bought it from eBay. I connected this little bracket, this U bracket, I think that was like $3 or something, and I connected that to the pole, and it just sits there the whole season long until I ratchet it down. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to ratchet it down. Right, here we are. We have ratcheted the entire assembly the whole way down, and right now the way I have it hooked up is that I have a rope. Might be a little hard to see because it's kind of dark at that angle, but there's a rope and a little hook from the winch right there in the center. The rope is just clipped onto by the winch clamp, and it just pulls it up and lets it down. So at the top of the tree, which will be a lot easier to see when we get it down, is two of the little pulleys at the top there. And yeah, all that's left now is to grab the step ladder, step up, and unhook all of the RGBs off of the pole cap, or the I want to call it the Traveler because it travels up and down, but it's the Mega Tree topper. So here we go. Okay, so here you can see that all of the strappings have been disconnected, or the zip ties are cut from the D-rings that held them to the base ring. I'm going to remove this base ring and get it out of the way, because you know, now it serves no purpose. And then after I remove this, I will disconnect all of the strips from the Lightorama controller that's right here beside the gas meter there. So that's the next step, is to get rid of this and then start winding up the bands. I'm going to climb on the ladder and then unhook them all from the topper. Alright, here we are. We're actually up on the ladder, and I wanted you to see how I had done this. Right here is the topper. You can see, if you look in there, and now I can't see up in there, but you should see the pole and how it rides just right along the outside of the outside of the reducer runs right on top of the pole. There's no grease or anything, and then you'll get a better sense of the entire topper once I get it down. But suffice to say, here is the little hook that I was showing in the last video, and how it is just connected to a piece of rope that's tied off. There's inside, there's two holes for the rope, and here you see the rope tied off there on that side, and I can turn this around to this side, and you see the rope tied off over here as well. Those are the 4 pieces of rope that go up there. These pieces of rope here that are tied off are what helps carry it to the top. So I have those pulleys that are all the way up there, and they are connected to this rope right here that runs through the hook, and I just pull on the hook and the whole carrier runs up the pole. So, well, I ran the tree this year, the mega tree, as a 360 degree tree. So that meant I had lights going the whole way around it, as you can see through the carrier here. You'll also notice that each one of the strips was daisy chained to another strip that was exactly on the 180 degree side, opposite side of the strip. So for here, for instance, I have 8 strips, all daisy chained to the opposite side of the tree, 8 more strips. So it's kind of like I connected one string that started here and went up and over and connected to the front one. So that's how I basically did the tree this year. What I'm going to do, and they're actually connected through all of these male and female connectors, these 4-core waterproof connectors, and I'm going to disconnect these now and take them down strip by strip and store them in my tote. And now, as promised, this is exactly what the mega tree looks like after everything is removed. Might be harder to see here now, but this is the base. It's 2 feet into the ground deep, and there is a cap that can pop right on there. And we have the cable that runs up the entire length of the pole, which takes the carrier to the top. And now that the carrier is not loaded down with any weight, the next step is to remove it from the top, and we're going to take the pole out. But before we do that, we're going to come over here, and we're just going to, and I know everybody's going to love this. This is literally all I did to guy wire my tree. And I bet everybody's going to be like, what the heck are you doing, Clyde? But the bottom line is, you know, this is the one single guy wire that I had going through the top of the tree. And the only other wires that are there to disconnect now are from the E682, and that box there is this one string which goes up to the Pixel Star. So next picture you see is going to be this pole laying on the ground, and I'll walk through all of the steps that I went through to put it together. And here we are. You can see the hole, and you can see I just lifted the pole straight up out of the ground. We'll start here because it's at the bottom. We see here the winch, and I only have the one connection there holding the winch in place, and that's all it needed. I'm sure that I could put more support in there if I need it, but I'm going to repurpose the pole for a flagpole this year and just put a flag on it since I got the pulleys at the top. And the handle, the way that I had this low, I had this set to the ground, it was 2 feet, and you can kind of see right there where my boot is. That's exactly 2 feet right there, that whole bottom length, and that slid into that hole there. Now the pole total length is, I think it's 18 feet or 19 feet. It can maximum, I can make this 19 and a half feet, but I never would extend it that high. There's no reason to, because I know that here in this center connection is an overlap between, if you're looking at this pole, on the right of your screen, right here, you see the lower pole, which is comprised of, I want to say, 1.5 inch EMT conduit. This is the thin wall stuff. Then on the left here, we have 1 1/4 inch EMT conduit. This is what's called, what I've known to be called a furlong, and it's a connection piece for 2 pipes that are different sizes so that you can run plumbing. What I did was I connected, it's a 1/2 inch, it's a 1 1/2 inch furlong. Okay, here you can see I have 2 pieces of PVC in there, right there and there. Well, there you go. That's a little better picture. And the PVC acts as like a clamp, and as you tighten these screws down here, it clamps this pole in place and prevents it from sliding easily back into the lower pole. Now, here is the carrier, as I call it. I call it a carrier because it carries the strings up. And this was nothing more. I have more detailed pictures on my Facebook page. But this was nothing more than hooks that I actually drilled in here, inserted, and then you can see through the backside here, there's no clamp, they're just bent down, and they form the hook. Each one of those hooks is capable of holding 2, maybe 3 D-rings that would hold 3 different strands if I wanted to. So I can make the mega tree as full as I really want to, even though it only has 16 peg hooks on there. So traveling up the tree, we'll get to the star, and the star is actually I've got it from Winklebottom's, and this is the first time I've ever used these modules. I noticed some yellowing of the modules. It looks like the epoxy is yellowed a little bit, but that didn't affect the star at all while it was up in the air. I mean, you couldn't tell it during the daytime, during the nighttime. But let me pull the star out, and we'll see if I can do this while I'm running the video. And it doesn't want to pull out. Oh, I zip tied it to the top. That's why. Let me clip that. I think, yeah, because I didn't want it to spin. That was a good idea, Clyde. There we go. Now the star can move freely. And this is a pretty long piece of PVC. This was actually one of my old fire sticks. It looks like the null pixel I used. It's actually not a null pixel. If it was a null pixel, it wouldn't have been programmed. This was actually pixel number 1. I taped it. And this was actually my fire stick. When I had all the old fire sticks, I put PVC or rebar into the ground. I shoved this over top of the 2-foot rebar, and it sat 7 feet tall in the air. And that was the top of my thing. But pretty much here's the PVC, or the star, the pixel star. And if I turn it around, you can see what I did. I just drilled a hole through the top, ran a couple zip ties around it. Here again, some zip ties around the frame of the star. More zip ties, more zip ties. So pretty much zip ties is all I needed. Now, why did I use this whole piece of PVC? I don't know. It was spare in the basement, and I really didn't have any other use for it. So here again is the star, now that's leaning up in the air, and I wanted to point out that these pixel modules came from Ray. They're 2811s, 12 volts. They came with a lead on them, 2 meters. And from the 2 meter lead, I soldered on this null pixel, and I just taped it shut. You can't see the pixel at all. There's no nothing there for you that you can see during the show. And then I cut the end of, and this here is nothing more than an extension cord I got from Ray, a 3-prong extension cord, and I soldered the ends together with the ends of the pixel, null pixel that I put in. And this extended the length to another 5 meters. So we had 2 meters plus 5 meters. And then if you look at the controller there on the base of the ground is the other 5 meter extension. So I had 10 meters before the null pixel went to the top of the star. And the star has 65 pixel modules on it. and I programmed it as if it had 66 modules, and I deleted the first one. So, or I just didn't program the first one. So, that's the basics of just my Pixel Star. And now that the star has been removed, I can show everybody the top here. And I'm going to try to hold the pole and pick it up so that you can get a good view of this. Right here, what we have is, we have 4 eyelets and a flange. And this flange is connected to a 1 1/4 inch EMT conduit screw base that screws right in to the flange. The flange here, the floor flange, is actually the most expensive thing out of this entire project. After I screw those 2 nuts down real tight on, or screws down tight onto the MT, I screwed the flange on, and then I added these 4 eyelets that I got. I think they were 66 or 88 cents a piece at Lowe's. This flange was actually $15, and it was more expensive than either this EMT conduit or the 1 1/2 inch EMT conduit that made the pole. The rope was relatively inexpensive. I actually had these sitting in the shed, so I used them. I learned a lesson that this rope needs to be much thicker so that it doesn't accidentally get off track and get in between the crack there. See how wide that can get? And it actually got stuck at the top and redo this pulley because it wasn't it wasn't rolling easily. It was stuck, and so I had the carrier stuck halfway up the pole. Looking at it from this angle, most people would see there's 4 tie-offs for anchoring the pole down using the guy wires, and I already showed you that I just wrapped the guy wires around my water pipe, and that was pretty much it. With a 2-foot base in the ground, it really didn't need these. But if you were going to go higher, then you would definitely want to use these 4 guy wires. I zip-tied the star right to one of these one of these eyelets just to make sure that it didn't turn or sway during the show, and it worked out pretty good. So. I hope this video helps you come to grips with how I did my mega pole or my mega tree, and pretty much any of the basics that are involved in here. I do want to go back up here and talk about the hole for a little bit. The hole was the easiest thing to do. It only took me about 35 minutes of digging with just a regular spade shovel. And what I did was I shoveled the whole way around just 1 spade wide and went straight down for 2 feet. I used a 2-foot piece of PVC plus a cap on the bottom for the base. And I drilled holes in it. I added a little gravel, so I went down 2 feet 6 inches. I made sure that I drilled some holes in the bottom of the PVC cap that's on the bottom, glued it together, and then I put some gravel at the bottom of the hole. I then mixed up cement in my wheelbarrow and just poured the cement in around the pole, made sure the pole was level. The base, I'm sorry, not the pole. I made sure the base was level with the level. And let the cement harden for a day or 2. Came back out, threw in all the dirt from the hole, and voila. I have a hole in the ground that is cemented, and it can withstand 50 to 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So that's pretty much my mega tree pole. I'm going to keep going with some more videos, so stay tuned to my YouTube channel.